Okay, people, so Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy. It's just dropped. Oh, it dropped here, right? I think it's going national-wide on Friday. It's directed by Michael Morris, written by Helen Fielding, Dan Mazer, and Abi Morgan. The film is produced by Joe Wallet, Eric Fellner, and Tim Bevan. Executive produced by Amelia Granger, Sarah Jane Wright, and Helen Fielding. Rachel Neal co-produces. Dustin O'Halloran took care of the music. Susie Lavelle is down with the cinematography. Mark Day edits the piece, while Lucy Bevan and Olivia Grant, they took care of casting, right? Production design is Cav Quinn. Art direction, we have got Angus Wimblad, Sandra Phillips, and Andrea Matheson. Connie Simmons is set decoration. Molly Emma Rowe took care of the costume design. Hair and makeup, special teeth, all of that jazz. We got Rona Mae Campbell, Thea Jones, Zoe Kramer, Chris Lyons, Eliza McCabe, and Molly Peters. So, people, our cast, right? Well, obviously, Renée Zellweger is back as Bridget Jones, right? Daniel Cleaver is in this one, right? He's back, played by Hugh Grant. Emma Thompson is Dr. Rawlings again. And we've got two new love interests, right? There is Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mr. Wallaker. I think it was Scott Wallaker. And then there's Rockstar. He does say his actual name because he wasn't christened Rockstar, but yeah, they call him Rockstar, played by Leo Woodall. Colin Firth does make cameos, right, as Mr. Darcy. So does Jim Broadbent and Gemma Jones as Colin and Pamela Jones. We've got Isla Fisher as Rebecca. There's Josette Simon as Talifa. Oh, yes, Bridget's got 2 kids. I forgot she's got kids. Yeah. Her children, right, are what the fuck are her children called? That's it. Mabel, played by Mila Jankovic. That's the youngest. And then there's Billy, played by Casper Knopf, right? She's got their babysitter, right, played by Nico Parker, who I know I've seen her in shit and I just cannot place it, but yeah, she's the babysitter. Obviously, we've got Miranda is back, played by Sarah Solemani. There's Shazza, played by Sally Phillips. Jude, played by Shirley Henderson. Tom, played by James Callis. Right? Una Ackenberry makes an appearance as played by Celia Emiri. Paul, played by Ian Midland. We got Nicolette, played by Layla Fazad. and her clan, right? We've got right, her there's Victor, played by Seb Cardinal, and then the two kids, Atticus, played by Harry Goldsmith, and James Goldsmith plays Eros. So yeah, the kids who I think that's our main lot of people, essentially, right? Navid Khan is a producer at the film, at the production company. Yeah, I mean that's the main lot, right? The gist of the story is this. Bridget Jones navigates life as a widow and single mum with the help of her family, friends, and former lover Daniel. Back to work and on the apps, she's pursued by a younger man, and maybe, just maybe, her son's... Okay, that's weird. It just ends. Obviously, there's more to it. I think it's probably her son's teacher. But yeah, that's IMPD. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, so yeah, Bridget Jones mad about the boy. This is an odd one, right? It's an odd one because this was actually the third book, right? Like, because we had Bridget Jones's Baby, right? That was the third film, but that's the last book, right? They did the books out of order, which was very weird. Didn't really make any sense. I don't know why they did that, but that's what they did. So we got this one. Now, now supposedly at the very end of Mad About It, because I did see it, and I think like in the end credits, there's supposedly a newspaper article that comes up saying Daniel is alive, because that's the thing. I was just like, wait, he's dead, right? Like, how are they bringing him back? But he's alive. It did seem very weird that she's hanging out with Daniel. All seemed very odd, because he was a shit to her, right? He cheated on her a couple of times, you know what I mean? Lied to her. It wasn't like, look, you can be friends with your exes, you know what I mean? And I think, like, if you just drew apart, no one's fault, things end, even if you have a row, right? You get older, you're like, oh, that was silly, wasn't it? Boom, boom, boom. But I feel when someone has cheated the number of times he did, and some of the other shit he did, I don't know if you're being friends, right? Don't know if you're being friends. Hugh Grant does that whole, oh, by Joe, that English aristocrat, dummy, charming kind of thing. And they're playing that up in this, It does come off as a little forced, right? Because, he's making cocktails for the kids. And obviously it's not just, a martini or, it's a dirty bitch, right? That's the cocktail. And it's just like, I mean, all the things you could have called it, like you're trying to be like edgy, and it comes off as a little forced. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, like, there was a lot of bringing back past people, because this film is essentially, now this is what they're saying, who knows, because you can never trust people, right? But they're saying this is the last one, this is the end of the story, so we're getting a load of people, as a little, you know what I mean, a nod, right? A farewell, as it were, because essentially, when we've got, Shazza, Jude, Tom, they're not really needed. I mean, if you strip out them from the film, it's the same film. Like throwing in Una, throwing in her parents, like all of these things, the elements aren't needed. Like the Mark stuff is fine, but the weird thing about the Mark stuff is, like, he's been dead 4 years. Like, we find out early on that he's been dead 4 years, right? And another big thing with this film, they try to give us some of those, like, I guess iconic, you might call them, scenes from the first Bridget Jones. Like when she's at the, her friend's dinner party and they're like, Bridget, how come you're single? You're like, oh, it's because I've got scales, right? And under my clothes I've got scales, and people don't get it's a joke, which is just like, how do you not get it's a joke? But it was fine in the first film. It works in the first film, So we get that, essentially that scene again. Right, we get another scene of like in Bridget Jones, because it was a play on Mark Darcy playing Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice. I think that's the one, right? Oh man, get the stories mixed up sometimes. But when he comes out of the water, so they did that whole scene where he's coming out the water, and we get another scene of someone coming out the water. So they're really trying to give us some of those scenes, right? So at the beginning, when she's at this dinner party, right, it's 4 years. So it's celebrating Mark's birthday. The questions that they're asking her are bizarre, right? Because it's been 4 years. So it's kind of weird at times when they're playing, how are you dealing with Mark's situation? Because it's 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, supposedly she's not been at work. And I'm like, what workplace is holding your job for 4 fucking years? You know what I mean? That's like some craziness, you know what I mean? But yeah, so there's some weird things around that. I feel if they had done it and it had been a year, I think it would have played probably better. Right? A lot of things would have made a bit more sense. Right? The whole kid situation would have been a bit, you know what I mean? A bit more cohesive. So yeah, there were some weird things with that. Listen, I love Bridget Jones. Bridget Jones was great. Like, there's just a charm to it. It's not a perfect film, but it's just charming. You know what I mean? It's heartwarming. The next two, yeah, I didn't enjoy them. But with this one, I will probably say this is probably better than the baby one. Bridget Jones's Baby. Probably better than that one. I really like the balloon scene. I thought the balloon scene was very nice, very heartwarming. And it kind of reminded you of what Bridget Jones is. You know what I mean? That scene worked very well. The Rockster stuff. Yeah, there's no chemistry. Right? There was absolutely no chemistry there. It was very bizarre. The whole thing didn't make any sense. You didn't buy the relationship. Like, we know where it's going. And I don't know, the film is sold as being like this, who's she gonna pick? Yeah, it's not even that. right? It's not even that. The Wallaker stuff felt very tagged on, right? That felt so tagged on as well with the stuff with Billy. It just felt like this thing. Oh, yeah, let's throw in this. That's what it felt like, because there wasn't really any substance behind either thing. You know, as I said, Darcy's been dead 4 years, right? He's been dead 4 years. So we're saying there's been no like, again, if it's been a year, you can understand the conversations, you know what I mean? It's difficult. 4 years is a bit weird. 4 years is a bit weird. And then with, the Wallaker thing, like, I feel 3/4 of the film, she's with Rockstar. So it's odd. It's very odd. Like, there's a scene where she finds herself like dancing and doing this stuff, and then it's just like, wait, there's a load of people watching, and you're just like, yeah, with her role, of course she would know there's people in the room, right? It made no sense to be like, oh, wait, oh no, she says something. It wasn't her the dancing one. She says some shit, right? She goes in this room and she's having this conversation and says some shit, right? And then it's like, oh my God, I didn't realize I said it in front of all these people. And you're just like, yeah, but you know there's those people in the room. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's a lot of bizarre things like that going on, right? And we got these weird expressions, pulling these weird facial expressions that are odd, are very odd, right? I feel the whole school thing, you know, the studio thing, right? Talking about the fruit flies. It's little kids, you know what I mean? It's little kids, right? So there's certain things that you get and you're not gonna say per se. It's for me, it's a weird film. It's a weird film that kind of, it's like it wants to be this comedy, it wants to be heartfelt, it wants to be, and it's just stuck. It's stuck, not sure where to go. I thought Emma Thompson was very good, you know, and as I said, I thought the balloon scene was very sweet, but yeah, everything else just felt a little meh. It didn't seem to catch fire for me, right? But as I said, listen, if you liked Edge of Reason, if you liked Bridget Jones's Baby, I think you would like this, because I do think it's probably better than Bridget Jones's Baby, you know? So yeah, I think if you like the other films, then you will probably like this, you know? The end thing was weird as well, right? Not quite the end, but the whole school play thing. But it looks like she's shocked. And you're like, wait, how are you shocked? Like, you knew that's where he was. Like, what? And I just want to say, the whole babysitter, Chloe ain't a babysitter. She ain't a babysitter. She'd be a nanny, because the shit she's doing, a babysitter ain't doing all of them things, you know what I mean? So she's a nanny. Like, what are we doing? It's very bizarre. People, Bridget Jones, I'm glad it's the last one, because I don't know if I could do another one. I mean, I don't even know what I said. I definitely can't do another one. But yeah, Bridget Jones, mad about the boy. It's out in cinema. You know, some sweet moments. But, I don't know, overall, just a little sour. Just a little sour. How does it work for you people? Let me know. Bridget Jones, mad about the boy.